Rain lashed against the dusty attic window. Wind howled like a banshee, rattling the rafters. I pulled my threadbare coat tighter, shivering. A single flickering candle illuminated the room. My grandfather's workshop. I traced a finger through the grime on his workbench. Tools lay scattered, untouched for years. My gaze fell on a shape beneath a moth-eaten cloth. I pulled it back, heart pounding. A book, bound in ancient cracked leather. Its pages whispered secrets. The book seemed to pulse with an eerie light. Its leather felt oddly warm, almost alive. I opened it, the scent of mildew and something ancient, otherworldly, filling my senses. Runes, I realized, my fingers tracing strange, angular symbols. Diagrams of constellations I didn't recognize. And then figures, gods and monsters, locked in eternal struggle. Nordic runes, but interspersed something else, Celtic knots, intricate and interwoven with the Norse symbols. This was no ordinary book. It was a grimoire, a dangerous collection of ancient magic. My grandfather. He'd always been fascinated by mythology, but this book, this was something different. These stories felt real, potent. The hairs on the back of my neck prickled. I wasn't alone. A presence filled the attic, cold and watchful. I slammed the book shut, my pulse racing, but it was too late. I had felt it, a connection. The two worlds, Norse and Celtic, stirring from their ancient slumber. The air crackled with energy. A deep voice boomed through the attic, shaking the rafters. "You dare disturb the balance?" I spun around. Standing before me, a figure of immense power, one eye covered with an eye patch, a raven perched on his shoulder. Odin, the All-Father, ruler of Asgard. Fear choked me. I was in over my head, but Odin wasn't alone. A woman stepped forward, her presence radiating ancient power, tall with emerald eyes that blazed with otherworldly fire. The Morrigan, Celtic goddess of war and fate. "This meddling is not our doing, All-Father," she said, her voice like iron striking stone. The two pantheons, Norse and Celtic, usually existed in a state of wary truce, their worlds separate yet intertwined, a delicate balance maintained for centuries. But something had shifted. The book. The grimoire was a bridge, a conduit between their worlds, and I, unwittingly, had opened it. "A prophecy unfolds," Odin rumbled, his single eye fixed on me, one that speaks of chaos and destruction. The Morrigan's gaze, sharp as a hawk's, met mine. "And a hero," she added, her voice laced with a strange mix of dread and hope. The prophecy was fragmented, lost to the mists of time. Whispers of Ragnarok, the Norse end of days, intertwined with tales of the Celtic otherworld, a realm of magic and shadows. Odin spoke of Loki, the trickster god, his schemes threatening to unravel the fabric of reality. The Morrigan told of ancient evils stirring in the depths of the otherworld, drawn to the breach between worlds. The fate of both worlds hung in the balance. Odin and the Morrigan, despite their differences, knew they needed to work together. Their gods, Thor with his thunderous might, Loki with his cunning, Dagda with his cauldron of plenty, Brigid with her healing touch, all had roles to play. The lines between hero and villain blurred, alliances shifted like the sands, betrayal lurked around every corner. The air grew heavy, charged with anticipation. The Morrigan placed a hand on my shoulder, her touch surprisingly warm. "You have a choice to make," she said, her voice low and urgent. "Embrace your destiny or run from it. The fate of two worlds rests on your decision." Her words echoed Odin's earlier warning. I was caught in a whirlwind of ancient power, a pawn in a game I didn't understand. The book pulsed in my hands, its leather seemed to writhe, the runes shifting and changing before my eyes. A map, I realized, a guide through the tangled pathways between worlds. My heart pounded in my chest. Fear warred with a strange sense of purpose. The Morrigan stepped back, her gaze unwavering. "Choose wisely," she warned. "The path ahead is fraught with peril." "But remember," she added, a flicker of something like hope in her eyes, "even in the darkest of times, even when all seems lost, there is always magic." Her words hung in the air, a promise and a threat. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the journey ahead. The grimoire, warm in my hands, seemed to pulse with a life of its own. I had a choice to make, a destiny to face. The adventure, it seemed, was just beginning.